We are in lesson 95, part 6, and in the past participle principal parts section of this lesson. Now, we are going to talk about, in this part of the lesson, about the English verb conjugation. Do you guys remember what conjugation means?
Probably not. Group.
It means that we are making a change. So if we are going to conjugate our verb, that means the verb needs to change so the sentence sounds the way it should. It sounds better. That's all conjugating means, is that we change up something so that it actually sounds better in a sentence. Sometimes you can hear it and sometimes you can't, but you have to follow the rule of conjugation. And so that's what we're doing right here. Now we are going to focus on your simple tenses, and I color coordinated these, you guys. Purple is the simple tense, progressive is the blue, red is the perfect tense, and I put in B so we can see the difference in how our verbs conjugate with the be verb, okay?
Oh, be verb.
Yeah, and I'm talking about that being just the state of being, that it's a state of verb, okay? It's a state of being verb. That means it ends. It needs to stand alone. That verb stands all by itself. We are going to really focus on your first, second, and third person. I think you're getting that down now, Paul, aren't you? So we're going to focus on our first, second, and third person. And right here, this top one, we are focusing on the present tense, because the present tense is the one that changes the most. It's the most confusing. And so you need to understand how to conjugate your verbs in each tense. Well, how many tenses do we have? 3, 6, 9 right here, right? 3, 6, 9 tenses. So that's what's going on right here, and we're going to have the past, the future, and the present. Okay, so now if we look at this, I am praying. This is in first person, singular. You need to change it to am. This is your conjugation of the be verb, but it's not the same as this. This is an auxiliary verb. This is a helping verb. So just so you know the difference, yeah, it's an auxiliary verb. Yeah, this is an auxiliary verb. This is an auxiliary verb. But these are helping verbs. And that's the reason why they are called helping verbs, so you can hear the difference, because these are not helping verbs. They're not helping the verb. This isn't helping. This is helping. This is a helping verb because it's helping praying, for you to understand. And this is putting it in the proper tense. But these right here as bees, these are not helping verbs. But you still have to conjugate your verb, and they still conjugate the same. So I wanted you guys to see how they conjugated. They conjugate the same. Helping verb, helping verb, helping verb, helping verb. No helping verb. These are not helping verbs. They are just be verbs. State of being verbs. Okay? So now we have I am praying, you are praying, Lisa is praying, he is praying, she is praying. That is your singular. That is your singular. You have to use and conjugate your correct verbs in the correct way. Third person uses is, second person is are, and first person is am. So now, if that's singular, see how singular works? Now we're looking at plural. We are praying. Plural is so much easier, because if you're putting it in as the present tense, it's all the same. We are, you are, they are praying. It's all the same. So I really want you guys to take a few minutes. If you need to pause the video, I want you to pause it for a few minutes and actually study this. So you can see these are all present tense verbs, but we have the progressive, we have the progressive, we have the perfect, we have the simple, and then we have our be verbs. And so you need to know, and I've mixed them up so that I want to talk about them mixed up. I don't want them to always be in order. But I did put the key up here so that you can see that. Now, for our present tense, you have to use, in the perfect, you have to use have or has. But if it's Plural, you use we have, you have, they have. It doesn't change, easy peasy. But look what happens in the singular. I have prayed, you have prayed, look, he has prayed. Changes in the singular third person. So where we really need to be careful with is the third person, right? Singular third person. We need to make sure we're understanding that and make the change and conjugate your verbs the correct way so that they sound well together. So you know what you're writing and that you're putting your subject and your verbs together correctly. Now, this is the simple tense, I pray. We don't have to have an auxiliary verb. You are using your base word right here. This is the simple tense. I pray, you pray, he prays. Now what do we have here? This is how you conjugate. We have the S on the end in third person, singular, what? Simple tense, right there. But is it hard to figure out the plural? It's not hard to figure out the plural. That's super easy. We pray, you pray, Daniel and Paul pray. Same thing. It just changes here. So you can see where you have so many of the changes in third person. All right, now let's look at our be verbs. This is where you guys can maybe get a little bit confused. These are your state of being verbs, but you still have to know how they conjugate because the be verb is a crazy irregular verb. It has 7 different irregular words that go with the word be. So you need to know when to change it. We is plural and it's first person, so you have to use are. We are in the car. See how are is its very own word. It sits all by itself. See how these are attached to participles, and then this is attached to the base word, but this is not. So you need to understand that it's not, but you still need to conjugate correctly. We are, you are in the car. Daniel and Paul are in the car. It's plural, it's your be verb. These are just irregular verbs, that's all it is. You just need to know it's an irregular verb and you just need to use the correct verb in the correct person. Like here, I, it's first person, so you have to use am. You have to use am in the singular. You are, first, this is second person, singular. See how they're the same. So second person is so much easier. Third person, Daniel is in the car. See how this is singular? This is a be verb, but it's an irregular be verb, and you have to use is in the third person. Absolutely have to use that. So that was your present tense. Now let's move to your future tense. We're still focusing on first, second, and third person. Now red. What's the red?
Perfect tense.
Perfect tense. Great, Daniel. Thank you. Now this is going into the future tense. And future tense is really easy. You just need to know which words to use when you are in a simple, progressive, or the perfect tense. You just need to know which verbs to use in there. So in the perfect tense, you need to use will have. No matter what, your future tense takes the simple part of it and then adds the word will. I will have employed, you will have employed, she will have employed. Singular. See how they're the same. We will have employed, you will have employed, they will have employed. Super easy. It's the exact same words. So you just need to remember that when you're in the future tense, it's the exact same words that you are putting in the perfect tense. Now, what do we have here? What's green? What's green? These are the be verbs. So I wanted you to see what happens when you are with the be. I will be an employee. What happened there? Can you see the difference between I will have employed, I will be an employee?
Yeah. You're basically saying what's gonna happen in the future.
So exactly, but look right here. This be verb stands all by itself, and you have to change it up to be something else. It's standing by itself. Right here, this is not a helping verb. That's the difference. This is not a helping verb, but this is a helping verb. It's helping this verb. But this is a noun. And so, because this verb stands alone, and this, can you see the difference? The be verbs, so many people get the be verbs mixed up. Now, helping verbs are easy. And they're like, oh, that helps another verb, but the be verb, what is that? What is that? You see the difference? It's standing all by itself. I will be. But in the future, you have to use I will be, and then you have to use something else. What is an employee in this sentence? What part of speech?
Predicate nominative.
This is a predicate nominative, and it's changing this, what you will. You will be the employee. I agree with you, Dan. Nice job on that. So I will be an employee, you will be an employee, she will be an employee. It stays the same, will be, right here. And so you're using a predicate nominative with it because it's describing. So that's singular, they're all the same, except you're changing your subject. But you don't have to change your verb. They all go together. So the future tense, they are actually so much easier than present. Now this is where you can get confused. I will be employing. You will be employing. Lisa and Richard will be employing. These are all the same, but look. Will be, will be. What's this be?
That one's a help.
This one is a helping verb. They're both auxiliary verbs. Both of these are auxiliary verbs. This is a helping verb. And it's helping this verb to make sense. This verb right here, these helping verbs are putting this into a tense. The will be is helping this verb put it into a tense. Can you see that, Paul? Is that understanding? But this is not. This be is not doing that because it's its very own word. It can stand by itself. Just like have. Have can stand by itself. I will be an employee. Right here, this is saying this is a predicate nominative. So that means this be verb is a linking verb. But you have to use the word will to make it go into the future, right? Mm-hmm. I will be an employee. The employee will change the I. You will be an employee. She will be an employee. Singular. It's saying it's singular, plural. It doesn't matter. You have to use the same. You need to use the same words. We will be employees. You will be employees. They will be employees. All right, the be verbs right there, so confusing. When you're using your be verbs as helping verbs, it's so much easier. There's a lot less confusion. These are all the same. I will be employing. Whether you're in the singular or the plural, it doesn't change in the verb. You will be employing. Lisa will be employing. It doesn't change. So those are pretty simple. You just need to know that if you want this to be in the progressive tense, you're using your ing, you have to use will be. Okay? To attach it to your ing. Now, what's the purple? It's the simple tense. Good. You're right. I will employ, you will employ. Lisa and Rich will employ. That is plural. They're all the same. So future tense is easy. I will employ. Singular is the same as plural. You will employ. Singular is the same as plural. Lisa will employ. Singular is the same as the plural. No changes there. But you need to understand that. You should study this so you're understanding. Because you need to make sure that you are using the correct way to form these. Now we're in our first, second, and third person, and we are going to work in the past tense. In, what is the first one? What's the red? The perfect tense, the blue, progressive, the purple, simple, and then your be. So now, in the past tense, you have to use the proper verbs. You have to use the proper helping verbs. And in the past tense, you have to use had in the perfect. I had taught, you had taught, Daniel had taught. It's the exact same word, whether it's singular or plural. We had taught, you had taught, Daniel and Paul had taught. You just need to remember, if you're going to go into the past tense, you need to use the word taught. You need to use the word had. These are helping verbs. They help another verb. These are helping these verbs. They're called auxiliary verbs. You need to know when they are being helping verbs. And when they are helping your progressive and your perfect tenses, they are helping verbs. Okay? I was teaching, singular. You were teaching, Daniel was teaching. See, you have to use the proper verb here. So in the past, you need to use was for singular, but for plural, unless you're in the second person. But for plural, first person is were, we were teaching. Second person, you were teaching. Third person, Daniel and Paul were teaching. So plural is the same. The second person is where it changes a little bit. So you just need to study this, and this needs to be memorized. I taught. So now the purple is, what's the purple?
Simple.
So the purple is simple tense. I taught, there's not a helping verb. You taught, no helping verb. Daniel taught. Singular, there's no helping verb here. But since you're sitting in the past tense, you still have to use taught. You're not saying I teach, because then you would be in the present tense. Does that make sense? So you're using this is an irregular verb that is in the simple past. We taught, you taught, Daniel and Paul taught. It's same thing. You don't have to change it when it's in the past. Past is easy also. You just need to study it and figure it out so that you're understanding. Past, it doesn't have as many changes in it. So I was a teacher. Now was puts it in the past. What is the green?
The be verbs.
Yeah, the green are the be verbs. So you still have to use them properly. If you want the be verbs to be in the past, you have to use the proper be verb. I was a teacher. But see, like right here, it's different. I was. But here, you're saying you're a teacher. So this right here is a predicate nominative. You have to use the correct be verb here. And this would be what kind of verb? A linking verb. But it's still be verb. And this is actually a linking verb right here. But you still have to use them properly. And this right here, actually, this right here, you guys, is a predicate nominative, so this would be a linking verb. This is a linking verb. It's the be verbs. It's part of the be. I was a teacher. You have to make sure that these are changing. So here we're putting it as a linking verb. This one up here, they are their very own stative verb. This one right here is a linking verb. I was a teacher. You were a teacher. Daniel was a teacher. You have to make sure that you're using the was. This was is singular. Was is singular. We were teachers. This another linking verb. You were teachers. Daniel and Paul were teachers. This is the predicate nominative. If you can replace teachers with your subject, you know you have a linking verb there. This is the past tense, so study those and get them down. Now make sure you add the letter S to the base word in the simple tense, third person singular. And that's right there, you guys. Okay, that's it for this lesson. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.